Hey everybody, are you the internet? What's going on? After hauling some dirt, we've planted some plants, we've moved some things around, but the big push is going to be this weekend. Now the reason for that is we had to kind of wait until the season was correct to be planting everything out here. I showed you guys the greenhouse where we've been sprouting stuff, and we'll walk over there in a minute, which the greenhouse is the beginning where you sprout things and then move them out to the garden, right? But here in Western Washington, we have to wait until the right time to be able to plant. It's not really rocket science or anything like that, but we just have to make sure that it is the right time of year. It's not going to be crazy downpour rain or too cold for some of the plants, but the main thing oftentimes is just the downpour of rain, and trying to avoid that and hopefully getting to the point where there's some sunny days and then we can get things into the ground. Of course I can't move the camera now, so action cut of something happening? I don't know. Alright, this being the third installment of the garden vlog, I kind of want to show you guys some of the stuff that's going on. Over here we've got our strawberry bed. We've got one here and one there. These are kind of off in the corner, and we had to add a little protective layer from our chicken friends over there. a little layer of protection, not a protective layer. A layer of protection from little heads peeking through and getting some free strawberries, which, you know, they'll get their fair share of strawberries. They don't need to be stealing them when we're not hooking them up. But we've got there's two types of strawberries in here. There's one that I forget, you know, there's the standard red ones, which this one actually is already sending out a strawberry, but and then I believe those ones are the white variety, which I can never remember the name for. It's like they're white colored strawberries. I can't remember the name, but they're like pineapple strawberries or something like that. I don't know. Either way, regular strawberries, white strawberries, pretty simple. Over here, we've got a lot of our leaf lettuces, which these were pre-sprouted ahead of time, and in the time that they've been in here, about a week, they've already jumped up quite a bit from the soil that we put in. And then here's our companion planting. We've got these little guys in here doing great. So far everything pretty good. The two soils that we mixed are working fairly well, although I would say that they do drain pretty rapidly. They're not retaining water exactly how I want it to be, but I think it's going to work out pretty well for this season. But it will give me something to do over the winter when I amend the soil a little bit to kind of slow down the drainage. Obviously I'll make a video of that when we do that, but for now I think it's going to work fairly well. So far the plants have perked up real well. I'm just having to water a little more often than I would like, but not a big deal because the watering will be automated. That will be coming up. I'll be probably plumbing some of that in this weekend and finishing up the construction. The IBC containers that are back there, we've actually isolated a new location for another one that's coming in. We got one that's being donated by a family member of ours, and so we'll actually have two of them, and then I'll be moving that one along with the other one come Saturday, and we have a friend that's coming to help us out and lift it, because I don't want Vicky, you know, with the baby inside her, grabbing the other side and carrying it along. Now typically that would be a Vicky job, like she's totally capable of doing that, but with the baby I just don't want her like bending over and all that kind of stuff, lifting in that way and kind of trudging along and moving it. So our buddy is coming to help out with that. On this side over here we've got some raspberries. These were actually donated by my mother last year or the year before. We've had these little raspberry shoots here. We've had these in a pot, and last year we didn't get a lot of fruit from them. because we haven't had like a specific spot for them up until this year. I don't have high hopes for a lot of production from these raspberries this year, mainly because they just won't have an opportunity to spread and vine a lot, but I think we'll definitely get enough out of them to make some jam and stuff. And then, as you can see, we're starting to go around the corner, which the rest of the beds will be finished by this weekend, and I'll be doing another garden video coming up on the rest of the stuff that's going on in here. But for right now, I just want to keep going around to some of the plants and talking about what's going on. Some of our companion planting with our tomatoes here. I'm not going to run through every type of tomato that we have. I think there's 4 different kinds of tomatoes that we have going in. Some heirlooms and some cherry tomatoes, some grape tomatoes, the stuff that we kind of like to eat. We're not doing any beefsteak or Romas this year, mainly just because like it's not really that much of a cash crop to make that many of those tomatoes, right? Because they're just so cheap, and you know, canning them takes a lot more time than just kind of buying some canned tomatoes. Honestly, that's just kind of what it comes down to with those ones. But we do have our basil in here. We've got 2 different kinds of basil. We got some Thai basil in with the tomatoes. That's the companion planting that you want to do. And my man Jimmy out there, if you're wondering where the worms from our fishing trip went, they're in here. They're in this bed right here with the tomatoes, rocking and rolling. They all survived the trip. There are some over in that empty bed over there. Oops, running into my cages here. In that empty bed over there, and then there's some over here. But overall, everything's pretty good, although our basil is looking a little bit burnt. We've had some pretty direct light on the basil, and it is looking a little bit kind of raggedy right now. Not a big deal. Like I said, I'm gonna be watering right after this video, and they'll perk back up again. Always remember that basil is one of them that it's really kind of a finicky plant that just likes to look like it's about to die, but it just realistically needs some watering. It's not really that big of a deal. Of course, we have an airplane flying overhead again. As you guys know, we live in the flight path of the base, and that is a C-130 flying overhead right now, making a big ruckus. It's not super low because it's taking off, but when they land, they come in low. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they're doing. It's probably, every time I've asked, it's always a test flight or whatever, practice flight. Yeah. But that's kind of the tomato bed and stuff that's going on there. All right. These right here are Brussels sprouts. Why would we be growing Brussels sprouts? Because Vicky and I both love Brussels sprouts. We love to eat Brussels sprouts, and asparagus normally takes 3 seasons to do really well, and Brussels sprouts take 1 season to do really well. So we made the accommodation. We just said, you know what, Brussels sprouts would be just as good as some asparagus, and we wouldn't have to take 3 years to grow them. So we went ahead with Brussels sprouts. Same thing again here with the companion planting. I did accidentally knock this little flower over here, and so we'll just kind of put it back in place, and it'll look good for a day or 2, but probably that flower part won't make it. And then over here we do have something interesting going on, which is bad news. Our broccoli rabe has bolted, and we got that right down here. You actually see that it's bolted. It's sending up flowers already, which is not a good sign. I've been down this road a few times. It's not a good deal. Probably means we won't have any broccoli rabe, but we will have a bunch of we'll probably have a bunch of pretty flowers. The only thing that we can do is continue to trim back the flowers and hope that it will stop it from bolting, but 99 times out of 100 that doesn't work. So but either way, we'll definitely have a lot of greenery for the chickens and stuff like that. If we don't actually get any broccoli rabe out of this, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened, because all of our stuff will either make it into the compost or be fed to the chickens. So not a huge waste, but it is kind of a drag that it has bolted. It sends up the flowers and goes to seed. It's basically what that means. So kind of a drag, but not a big deal. And it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. And then this purple flower thing that is back here that is just looking amazing is the that lavender. Yeah, probably gets its name from the purple, right? Lavender, purple, right? Maybe not. Probably wrong. Probably just made that up. This lens cap right here, it's not organic, so don't plant that in your garden. Make sure to put that in your pocket so you can protect your lens. There is one other thing that I wanted to point out that I'm really excited for, and that is the Stargazer lilies, which are over here. And as you can see, I'm standing up and they're about nipple height. This one is like getting super tall, which means they're about to flower, and I'm really hoping to be able to share these with you guys. They flower for like 3 or 4 days, that's it, but they are amazing. So I'm really we put them right here by the door because we're on watch to hopefully be able to share those with you guys. But that's what's going on in the garden vlog number 3. That's this one. And Saturday we'll talk about the other stuff we're sprouting, some other beds going in, and the IBC containers, and hopefully some of the plumbing for the watering system and stuff like that. So that's what's up. I'll talk to y'all later. Anybody seen that button?